So for an upcoming build video, I reached out to our friends at Tecware just to see if they could help provide some products for it, and they did. They sent a few things across, and one of them was this case. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to show you guys that you don't need to spend excessive amounts of money to get a decent airflow case. So this is the Tecware Forge L. It is a mid-sized tower ATX case, and it's specifically designed for airflow. I did used to have in the studio one of their Forge M cases. It is kind of like this, but a little bit smaller. It's built for micro ATX, whereas this one's built for ATX, and I was extremely pleased with the quality of that one. So when this one arrived, I was actually quite excited. Unlike its little brother, it is slightly different. We do have a different type of glass panel on the side. The Forge M actually comes with a swinging door, so it's a magnetically held swinging door, whereas this one is a pretty standard side. You just remove the little thumb screws from the rear, and then you can just slide the glass panel out, and it comes out like that. The glass panel is quite thick. It's around 5mm thick, and it does come with this nice black border, so everything looks pretty nice. That is a pretty standard feature of most cases, so it's nothing to actually downsize this case on. It's actually a pretty decent panel. The other differences, as well as of course the sheer size of the case, this one being a pretty mid-sized tower ATX case, has got plenty of space for things in there. You can fit a full-size ATX or an eATX motherboard in here, so you can pretty much fit any kind of motherboard you want. And along with that, you've got much better options when it comes to cooling solutions. We'll just do a quick tour of the case and show you exactly what you're going to get. The case is actually quite solid, just like the smaller version was. It's all double-rolled steel. It's not exactly that heavy, but it's not light either. It does have a bit of weight in here, so you kind of feel like you're getting quite a bit for your money. It is designed in a typical case format. We do have a basement at the bottom here, the back plate where our motherboard goes, and then it's got lots of different holes for cables to come out. They all do seem to be located in great places. Being an airflow case, of course, the kind of shining star to this is the front panel. We do have a fractal meshify style panel here, and it looks really nice. They've also edged the corners on the front, so it gives it this nice kind of look and feel, and a kind of a premium look to it more than anything. The front I/O is actually on the top here. It's down the side in the steel. It's not on the front plastic thing, so if you were to remove the front to be able to take fans in and out, that kind of stuff, you don't have to fight any cables. It's all kind of just built in. And of course, we've got a power switch, a reset switch, two USB 3s, a microphone and a headset jack, and then we have this LED switch here. It is a shame that this case doesn't come with USB-C. I would have liked to see that on this, but maybe they will come up with a new version one day, and they'll probably include that too. But for now, it doesn't come with it, so if you are looking for a case that has front USB-C, this is not going to be for you. On the top as well, we do have an indented placement here for your fans, as well as a magnetic dust filter. Again, a very basic feature, but something that I like to see on these. I know a lot of people remove the ones from the top because they use it from an exhaust, but I like to leave them on just so that they actually look quite nice. On the bottom, we do have a full-length ventilation panel, and it also does come with a dust filter. Of course, your power supply is going to be mounted at the back here, so that's actually going to kind of protect the power supply from a lot of dust. But then for any air that actually comes through the front, you've also got yourself covered there as well. The rear of the case is very typical. We've got our IO shield placement here, a space for a 120mm fan there. We've got up to 7 PCI Express slots, and obviously our power supply is going to sit here where it fits into the basement. Now the power supply in this will be fit from the inside. It's not one of those ones where you actually remove a plate and slide it in, so you will need to kind of take that in consideration. But they do have a nice feature here that I like, where when you take out these PCIe slots, it actually leaves a complete gap. That's really good for when you want to actually put something in there like a vertical mount, because you don't have the extra little bars that you either need to cut out or kind of trying to jerry-rig around or anything like that. It also means that the IO shield itself is indented in, so your cables are going to disappear a little bit in, because if you go around the other side, we can see that everything is actually mounted on the inside, even the screws where you mount your PCIe cards. Now, of course, this case is mostly based on its airflow capabilities, and to be honest, there is absolutely nothing into this case that will actually stop airflow from entering. We do have this great big panel on the front here, which kind of acts as a bit of a dust filter, as well as being a pretty nice looking kind of panel. That's going to draw air fully straight through, and then obviously produce it into the system, where you can either exhaust it from the back or you can exhaust it from the top. When it comes to cooling options, they've left a lot of space in here. In the front, you can fit up to 3 140mm fans or 2 140mm fans in the top. You can also fit 3 120mm fans in the top, and you can fit a 120mm in the back. That also actually translates over to radiator systems, where you can fit up to a 360mm radiator in the front as well as a 360mm radiator in the top. There's not many cases out there that actually do support 360mm radiators in the top of cases, so this is actually going to be one of those options for people that do want that kind of setup, and to be honest, for the price, it's not going to be too bad. When it comes to the price, this case will set you back around £80. That's actually not too bad for a case anymore, particularly of this kind of quality and particularly for what you get. Included with the case, you get 4 RGB fans in the front. They include 3 140mm Omni A RGB fans, and in the back you get a 120mm. Now, their Omni fans are their P1 performance fans, so they actually do perform exceptionally well. And to be able to connect it all together, they've also provided you with a mechanism for doing that. If we just remove the back panel, which is held on exactly the same way as the front glass panel, we can take a look inside the back here. We can see that we've got all our cable systems here from our front I/O. They actually do run into some pre-installed Velcro tabs. They're actually going to keep your cables nice and tidy. And then they've included this little block here. It is actually an RGB and case fan kind of controller. It is powered by SATA here, and you can override the colors of the RGB with a override cable if you've got a header on your motherboard, or you can override the PWM signal here by plugging that into your motherboard, and then you can pretty much control all of the fans on the system from just here. Now, for many of you out there, you probably wouldn't want that many fans actually run by this controller, so you can just control all of the ARGB from here. It does come with an extra 4 headers, so for anything like a CPU cooler or maybe fans for a radiator, you want all the RGB to match, you can simply just plug straight into this controller and it will all actually sync straight up. Now, if you're not going to be overriding the ARGB settings on this controller with the actual connection that they've provided, you do get an option where you can actually change the colors manually, and to do that you need to press the LED switch on the top. There is a cable that actually runs all the way down and into the bottom of the controller there called LED SW, and it will basically just cycle through a bunch of presets. Now, you obviously don't need to keep this in the system if you don't want to. If you want to drive everything from the motherboard itself, you can do. You can just unplug them, because all of the connections for their fans use standard connections. There's no proprietary setup here, and that's another thing that I really like to see. For those of you that still use the more traditional storage devices, you do have 2 placements in the back here next to the controller for 2 2.5-inch SSDs, or you actually have this little movable caddy on the bottom, which does have a slide out pulley where you can fit up to 2 3.5-inch hard drives, or you can actually install an extra 2.5-inch SSD there. So there's plenty of space for upgrade options, particularly when it comes to storage, even though most people probably use M.2 and NVMe drives nowadays, but it's there if you need it, and it's all hidden away, so it's not going to actually look bad in the system around the front. Now, that is just a quick tour of the Tecware Forge L. It is just as impressive as the M version, the smaller version of it. I can't wait to actually get a build in here, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing next. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to catch up. I'm sure you guys will, because we've got some extra things come from Tecware too to actually kind of complement this case a little bit, and you will want to see them. Cases like this actually go to show that you don't need to spend excessive amounts of money on airflow cases. The airflow is fantastic in this. You get the extra fans. It's got plenty of space for everything you need, so you don't really need much more. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever had a Tecware case before and what you think of them. And I'm sure, as always, we'll catch you guys in the next one.